Yes, good afternoon, all of you. Welcome to EduTap and welcome to this masterclass on descriptive writing. First of all, is the audio clear to you and am I visible to you? Please let me know in the chat section. Is the audio video cleared? All right, yes. Okay. Good afternoon, Rishabh. A very warm welcome here. All right. Audio, video, all clear. Okay. So, yes. So, let's share the screen here with you. All right. So this is going to be a masterclass on descriptive writing for RBI Grade B Phase 2 examination. So Phase 1 examination was conducted recently. I hope it went really well for you. And I hope our entire team hopes that all of you watching this session, you all crack this exam and move on to Phase 2. Now, see, there is one thing I would like to highlight here. It is about RBI Grade B 2023. This course that we are offering, it is a live crash course, which will have live classes, short notes would be there, mind maps would be given to you, and yes, here you can see about the course. There would be live classes here, short notes would be given, mind maps would be given, current affairs, test series, and evaluation of tests. Everything is going to be there. Also, it will also have test series. A standalone test series would be there. I'm so sorry, there is some technical issue on my part. Yes, test series, a standalone test series is also being offered, and all the subjects, ESI, FM, current affairs, everything will be covered, and you will get, detailed live classes for all of this. So there is a flat 50% off that we are offering. The link can be found in the description. The flat 50% off that we are offering is because the exam was really tough, and we really want you to crack the exam with the help of participation from our team. So yes, see, the first thing that I would like to highlight here, yes, good afternoon, all of you, getting a lot of messages. The first thing that I want to bring to your notice here is that the time gap between phase 1 and phase 2 of RBI Grade B examination is always very less. It is around 15 days or sometimes even lesser than that. There is a big confusion with students that they try to study a lot, they try to read a lot because there is objective part of the paper also that you need to handle. So yes, here we have the distribution for the exam. This is the exam distribution. Your paper 1 consists of ESI, economic and social issues. Objective part has 30 questions, while descriptive part has 6 questions, out of which 4 have to be attempted. So yes, and then you have your English, which check your writing skills, descriptive 3 questions for Prezi, RC, and essay. And finally, you have the finance and management part, which again tests you for objective as well as descriptive. So, excuse me. So see, since there is very less time available for phase 2 part of examination, what aspirants tend to do is they tend to study a lot. They tend to study a lot without practicing. And what happens at the end of the day is that you're so anxious, there's so many thoughts popping in your head that when you sit in front of that screen, when you actually take the test of phase 2 exam, you realize that there is not much that you can write, or you do not know how to jot down your thoughts in a proper and streamlined manner. You do not know that. So yes, that is a problem that we are aiming to address here, and we're not aiming to address it just through this live session. Live sessions will go on for the next 12 days. Here is the timetable. For the next 12 days, we'll be having live sessions every day at 3 p.m. and they will be divided according to your syllabus. Not only this, not only the division according to syllabus would be there, we'll be, you'll be answering a lot of mock questions with me. I'll be taking a lot of answers in the chat box itself. There will be a lot of answers that would be taken side by side, and we will tell you here, I will tell you step by step that how to write a good answer. what should an ideal answer look like, so that you can make it to the final list, you can get a call for interview, and then you can get selected. So here I'm reading out the plan for you. For July 14, that is today, it's Friday, we have this art of writing good introduction. Okay, today we'll learn what are the basic skills of answer writing, and we'll see art of writing good introduction would be seen here. Then on Monday, for Saturday and Sunday, we do not have sessions. So that is for your self-study. On Monday, there is a session on art of writing good body. Thirdly, on Tuesday, you have art of writing good conclusion. So you see, by July 18, you will be able to understand that what should be the structure of a good answer. And this will not be just theory based. It will be involving a lot of more things, a lot of discussions, a lot of inputs from your side as well. So just stay tuned to this session, and I will take all the comments, all the messages that are coming up in the chat box in a while, in a little while. And from Wednesday onwards, see, since your ESI is very vast, so we have allocated four lessons to it, or 4 days to it. That would be on July 19, 20, 21, 22, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So today it's Friday. By next week or by next weekend, you will be very sure how to write answers. You will be very sure how to approach ESI questions. Then 2 days will be allocated to finance, the Monday and Tuesday of July 24 and 25. And the final 3 days, very important, management. And your ethics also forms a part of your management syllabus. So 3 days from July 26, 27, and 28, all these 3 days will be allocated to your management. And finally, after 1 day break, you can take your phase 2 examination. All right, so this is the descriptive plan. The first thing that I would like to tell here is that you do not have to take any notes. What you can at max do is have a rough copy or a rough sheet with you, and have a pen there. You can scribble side by side. You can keep on writing the important points side by side. But the PDF for this entire discussion that is happening here, it will be available on our Telegram channel after this discussion ends. So it will be there on our Telegram channel. Also, you can find the link to our Telegram channel in the description. There is a lot of important content that is freely available on our Telegram channel. That includes current affairs and a lot many things. So do check that out. But after this session, for now, just stay tuned with us. Again, I'm repeating, the session timings would be 3 p.m. for all these days that have been discussed here. Okay, so let me take you back to the slide that I started with here. It says that you can write great answers. Now see, just a few days left, and confidence of even having studied the syllabus properly is not very high among aspirants, as we see. And to be able to write great answers with the limited content, with the kind of knowledge that you have, that requires a strategic approach. So that's why just stay in the session, stay tuned for all these 12 days, and I assure you that you will be able to write very good answers, in fact, great answers in your actual examination. Also, I'm telling you again, this test series that we are offering, this will be full simulated environment, the full length test that will happen here. So it will be exact simulation that happens in your phase 2 examination. So you will be asked to type in all these tests. So definitely, if you feel that you already have taken the bundle, if you are knowledgeable enough, go for the test series directly. That will help you a lot. And if you feel that you need a helping hand with your revision or with your preparation for phase 2, then this live crash course, that is the way to go for you. And there is flat 50% off, so definitely subscribe to it. So yes, first of all, let me make the themes for this session very much clear. What are the themes? What are the themes for this session? What are we going to approach this as? Is it like the normal answer writing discussions that go on around on various platforms? So the first thing that I will be taking here is that, do you even need it? Do you even need such an answer writing course, or such an answer writing session or descriptive writing practice? Do you even need it? Secondly, we will learn how to write excellent answers even with average content. And by average content, I mean that we understand that as aspirants, you're not able to complete the syllabus all the time. So let's say there is one social issue you've covered very much in detail, while the other one has been left out. So yes, even with average content, even when you feel that you're not good enough, still you can write excellent answers. That is our guarantee. And in between the session itself, we will be sharing a lot of tips to fetch high marks and to get away with this burden and anxiety of how to approach phase two. So just stay tuned. And first of all, um, having the experience of all these years, there is one thing I would like you to know. For all those people out there who fear answer writing, who cannot even, hold a pen or type even the first sentence right, and if you're somebody who judges yourself for every answer that you're writing, and there is, there's a basic rule that you need to know that this is basically a form of communication. Answer writing is very much like having a meaningful conversation with a friend. Here, the friend would be your examiner. So the examiner gives you the topic of conversation in the form of question, and then you can have a meaningful communicate conversation ahead with the knowledge, with the help of knowledge that you have. So do not feel scared about anything. Do not fear about anything. So step by step, we'll approach all aspects of answer writing or your entire syllabus, and you'll be able to fetch really high marks. So now, why do you need it? Why do you need answer writing? See, a lot of people that I see, they're able to crack the phase one examination very well because it's a lot about your knowledge and practice. But they keep hanging at phase two for years, for one attempt after the other, then another. So they're not able to understand that what is the thing that they're lacking in. You know, what experts on answer writing say, and they say that when we are writing, we are actually thinking and writing simultaneously. Both the things are happening at the same time. You think, and by that time, as you're thinking, you're typing as well, typing or writing, whatever you're doing. So here in the case, you're thinking as well as typing. But what a person reading that answer, he sees the message that you're trying to deliver and the message that is being delivered to the person reading it, in this case your examiner, might not be the same. So you could think that yes, you had the right intentions to put every bit of knowledge out there. You've written great answers, but that could not be the case. How your answer appears to the examiner, that is very important. So it's like a picture. Every angle matters, and how the final picture looks like, that matters. So here we are going to teach you the final picture. So why do you need it? Because yes, we need to score high marks, and if you already have the structure in your hand, if you have made the decisions that actually you have to make during the examination day, sitting in front of that computer screen, you need to make the decisions regarding the structure of your answer. What will you write? What will be your first line? What will be your second paragraph? What will be your final paragraph? So that is the decision regarding structure. You should not be making it while taking the exam. This should have been done before. Starting from today itself, work on building a structure for yourself and choice of words. So it will save a lot of time when you know which words you have to use in ESI or finance answers or management answers. When you know that these are the keywords or these are the important words which I have to put in my answers, then a lot of time that you will be putting there in anxiety, that will be saved already. And what does that lead to? It leads to your confidence being boosted. It leads to a great confidence boost. Okay, and finally, what does this confidence boost give you? It gives you higher marks, which finally lead to your selection. So that is about it. Before moving on to the next step of answer writing, let me know in the chat section that if you have any questions from your side. Then we will begin the stepwise approach towards answer writing to learning descriptive answer writing for RBI Grade B Phase 2. So yes. Okay. Yes, love, all of this is going to be on YouTube. Um, yes, Priya, it would be answered B and it would be on EduTap. Yes. Okay. Yes, Rohit, good afternoon. Good afternoon, all of you. Yes, I think there are no doubts coming. If you have anything that you have in your mind that how would I complete the syllabus or anything, just let me know in the chat section. So the next break that we take during this session, that is when I'll take your questions now. Okay. So, yes. This is something we've discussed. Now let's begin. See, the first step to solving a problem is to be able to understand it. There is one line that my teacher told me years back, that if you have understood the problem properly, you have solved 50% of the problem. So if you can understand the question properly, if you can understand the intention of the examiner, why is this question being asked, in what context this question has been asked, in what part of paper this question has been asked, so half of your answer is already made. If you have studied, if you put the hard work, so half of your answer is already done. So understanding the meaning, because a misinterpreted question can instantly cause you to lose marks. The first thing that you have to do is, I know you will be having a lot of anxiety during that time. It would be, a lot of pressure on you, sitting for 5.5 hours on that day. It's very tiring also. But reading every question, not just in the descriptive section, but in the objective section as well. You know, this is the last mistake you want to make, that you read the question incorrectly and then you end up answering the wrong question. So understanding the meaning of question when it comes to your descriptive answers, that is of paramount importance. And once the question is understood, it can be answered effectively. Half of your problem is done there. So here for answer writing, we'll be taking a 4-step approach. The 4-step approach would consist of understanding the question first, understanding the intention of the examiner, why or what content is that examiner demanding from you. So once you understand the demand, then we will address that demand. That is the time when we'll actually start writing our answers in a very structured format. So let's see what the first step is. The first step would be finding keywords and qualifying words in the question. Find the keywords and qualifying words. What are these keywords and qualifying words? I'm sure if you have prepared for RBI Grade B or any examination which has phase 2 or the descriptive part of it, you must know what keywords are. But qualifying words is an addition from our side. So today we'll discuss the qualifying words, and we'll also see that how great impact can they make to your answer writing. Then the very easy one would be recognize the directive. What is the question? Directive basically gives a direction to your answer. The third one is framing micro questions, and it is very popular when we teach our students the art of descriptive writing. This has saved so many students. It has got so many aspirants selected as RBI Grade B officers. This is something that we'll focus on a lot, and all these steps would be discussed through examples. Then finally, you will write a structured answer with an introduction, body part, and conclusion. So yes, let's start. The first one is finding keywords and qualifying words in the question. What are keywords and what are qualifying words? Basically, these are the words that shape the question, that make up the question. जिनसे question बना हुआ है. So keywords are the basically topics on which the question has been asked. For example, there is a question on women empowerment. There is a question on fintech. There is a question on digital lending. So all these are keywords. These are the topics that can be included in your answer. These are the topics which have been given in the question, and the answer has to be on these topics itself. We'll see with an example. And what are the qualifying words? They basically present opinion. What is the opinion of examiner regarding these topics? Is the examiner asking you that should you support women empowerment, or is the examiner asking you the negative sides of the feminist movement? So opinion words are your qualifying words. Let's see with an example. So there is this question, the richest people own most of the total wealth in India. Discuss the reasons for why income inequality in India continues to rise till today. So the first one would be find the keyword here. That will be the first thing to do. Look at the keyword. What are the keywords here? The richest people own most of the total wealth in India. What is the keyword here? What is the topic here? When I mean by keyword, what I mean is, when I talk about keyword, I mean what is the topic here. So the topic here I can see is that richest people own most of the wealth. That richest people have most of the wealth. So this entire thing is my keyword, or it is a kind of a topic or subtopic which I can write about, or which you can write about in your exam. Discuss the reasons for why income inequality in India continues to rise till today. Now look at this closely. Income inequality is the actual topic in second line. So here is the reason, that is your first topic, that is your first keyword, and the second topic or the second keyword is income inequality. So what are the keywords that we have here? Richest people own most wealth and income inequality. So what do you have to write in your answer about? You have to write your answer about that why richest people own most of the wealth, or what is the status of these richest people who own most of the wealth, and you have to talk about income inequality in the country. These two are the topics which should be the constituent of your answer. Now, what is the opinion of the examiner regarding this situation or income inequality in India? The examiner says that all these two things, they are continuing to rise. This continues to rise. Income inequality continues to rise in the country. And what is he asking? He's asking you the reasons here. So the examiner has given you an image that there are rich people, 1% rich people who own most of the wealth, due to which income inequality is happening, and this income inequality, this is basically rising. So what are the reasons here? So the opinion of the examiner is clear and the topics are clear. So now you have an image in your mind. Now you have an image in your mind. You have to talk about that image. What are the reasons there? Yes. Let's take another example. Technology is becoming increasingly prevalent in the world today. In the not too distant future, technology will completely replace the teacher in the classroom. Do you agree or disagree with the statements? Basically, they're asking you that the teacher that you're reading from right now would be replaced by a robot. So, yes, jokes apart, let's read this. Technology is becoming increasingly prevalent in the world today. So, what is the topic that we have here in first line? Technology. That will be your keyword here. Okay, technology is becoming increasingly prevalent in the world today. So this is your keyword. In the not too distant future, technology will completely replace the teacher in the classroom. So here what we are talking about is education or teachers. That would be your second keyword. Do you agree or disagree? And what is the keyword here? Technology and education or teacher. And what is the qualifying word? What is the opinion of the examiner here? The examiner feels that robots or technology will replace teacher in the classroom entirely. Increasingly prevalent, this is increasing, and it will completely replace. So there are two opinions of the examiner. So the first thing you have to talk about is that technology is becoming increasingly prevalent. That will be your first question. Secondly, what do you think about it? That do you agree or disagree that it will completely replace the teacher in the classroom? So these two things have to be kept in mind. That is your thing. That is your distinction regarding keywords and qualifying words. Now, one thing I want to refer here is that not always you'll be able to find out the qualifying words, but this has been made clear to you so that you understand the intention of the examiner, and then you're able to recognize the directives in the question. Now, what are directives in the question? These are basically action words. What is this? Why is this? How is this? Discuss this, explain that, elaborate the statement, examine this result. So all these are basically directives in your answer. Discuss, explain, comment, examine, evaluate, analyze, justify. Do you agree or disagree? So I'm sure that these are some of the common directives you must have seen in your questions. As far as RBI Grade B examination is concerned, in all of these directives, you just have to give the content in a very structured manner. So your this phase 2 examination does not play a lot around directives. So this is something that we'll just understand, that this is the actual interrogation part of the question. This is where the examiner is putting the question towards us. Now there are some examples here. Look at the first one. The richest people own most out of the total wealth in India. Discuss the reasons for why income inequality in India continues to rise till today. So this is your actual question. What you have to do is, you do not have to, this is the background, this is your keyword. So what you have to do is, you have to discuss this situation, discuss the reasons. That is your directive here. Moving on, there is technology is becoming increasingly prevalent in the world today. In the not too distant future, technology will completely replace the teacher in the classroom. Do you agree or disagree? So here, what are your directives? Directives have been given in bold. Do you agree or disagree? Third one is, religion-based violence in India has increased exponentially over the past decade due to the rise of rightist elements. Comment. So this is a very controversial question. So that's why a comment directive has been asked. That means your views have been asked. So comment is a directive here. I hope you are clear about the keywords and directives. And moving on to the next part, but before that, let me just check your messages in the chat section. Yes. Is the directive part clear to you, all of you? Yes, have nots and equality. Okay. Okay, thanks, Priya. That means a lot. All right, all right. Is the keyword part and qualifying words part, is all that clear to you, all of you? So yes, okay. All right, all right. Okay. So let's move on to framing our micro questions. Let's move on to the most important part of this discussion, that is framing micro questions for your answers. So yes, I hope there is not a lot of problem with the screen. What are micro questions? What are micro questions? See, there is a question that you will be put on the screen, that you will see on the screen. And what are micro questions? Are they available on the screen, or do you have to frame them? And why do you have to frame them? See, first of all, there would be 90 minutes that you will have for your descriptive writing. Phase 2 descriptive writing will give you 90 minutes. And you'll have to answer 4 questions. 4 questions for 15 and 10 marks, that is 600 and 400 words respectively. Even if you're spending like average for average on average there is 22 and a half minutes that you have for each question. I understand that you can take around 25 minutes for your 600 words answer and 15 to 20 minutes for your 400 words answer. So 400 words answer would require a lesser time. But the one thing that you need to understand here is that you need to, frame micro questions for the question has been asked. Why framing micro questions is important? Because that will give a direction to your answer. That will tell you what you have to include, which content are you supposed to write about. So yes, examine the need for a uniform civil code in India. This is the first question. I'm sure that you're reading newspapers, and uniform civil code is making headlines every other day, not even every second day. It is making headlines every day. So uniform civil code is in news, and now the examiner might as well ask you, examine the need for a uniform civil code in India. So what do you think is the question here? What do you think should be the content here? The content here, or to put a question in simple words, to break this question to understand its meaning, is what is the examiner asking? Why should uniform civil code be introduced in India? So what should your body part contain? That this why should uniform civil code be introduced in India? So this is your micro question. By micro question, we do not mean some rocket science. By micro question, what we mean is that you need to simplify the question. You need to simplify the question, and if there are, let's say, there is another question to it, then again we'll have a second part to this question, and then we'll have two body parts. Now moving on to this part, highlight the salient features of the Union Budget 2023 to 24. What do you mean by this? Highlight the salient features of Union Budget 2023 to 24. So basically, what the examiner is asking you here, what do we what are the salient features of Union Budget 2023 to 24, or the latest budget? What are the salient features? So this is something you can start writing exactly in your body paragraph. What are the salient features? So these are your micro questions. Now, I understand that these two questions have been very easy. Examine the need for a uniform civil code in India. Very simple micro question. Highlight the salient features of Union Budget 23-24. Very simple question. What else do you have? Coming to this question, which is your management syllabus question. And this is the place where most of the aspirants fail to understand the question. This is the place, or this is exactly where, there is confusion around understanding questions. And this question is very philosophical. It says, leaders are born, not made. Explain. So what do you think should be the micro questions here? What is the exact question or questions here? Leaders are born, not made. Explain. Now I'll elaborate this part. Then we'll practice a lot of questions in this session. First part is leaders are born. And when something is born, when somebody is born, they have some qualities which are inherited or present in their body by birth. So leaders are born. And what we do in human society, we look for leaders. So basically, the first question is, do leaders have some innate qualities? This is something you have to justify here, because that is a statement being given. Leaders are born. So, do leaders have some innate qualities? This is something you have to write about. If yes, then what are those innate qualities? Is there any theory, or is there any example regarding those innate qualities? So that would be part of your answer. The second part is not made. Leaders are born, not made. That means Can these qualities be acquired through practice or through learning? So can or can't these qualities be attained or learned? So the intention of examiner is asking you for content for that leaders are born, they are having some innate qualities. And the second type of content that the examiner is asking you is that these qualities cannot be learned, or these qualities cannot be attained. That is what the examiner means here. Leaders are born, not made. Do leaders have some innate qualities? Second, can these qualities be attained or learned? So that is what you have to write about this. Write about in your answer. This could be for 400 words. And with the philosophical questions, I assure you that if you understand the question properly, if you're able to frame micro questions, then obviously you can give theories for both these two questions. You can give theories, you can give examples. Easily you can write 400 or even 600 words and then give a nice conclusion there. So moving on to an easy question, and this is something I want a response from your side for this question. Micro question for: how does MSME sector help in achieving inclusive growth? And what are the recent steps taken by government to boost the growth of MSMEs in India? So what does MSME sector help? How does MSME sector help in achieving inclusive growth? And I'm reading it again. What are the recent steps taken by government to boost the growth of MSMEs in India? Now in the chat section, all the participants here, please just give me any micro question. It could be 1, 2, 3, or 10 micro questions. Just type the micro questions in the chat section. What is exact content that you will be writing? That is your micro question here. So write about it in the chat section. Yes, yes. Yes, Priya, that can be done. Okay, main provisions. Okay, but we have a choice to agree or disagree. So yeah, with philosophical questions, see if the examiner is saying that leaders are born not made. That is a statement that has been given directly to you. So there you have to agree with the examiner. If there is a question that is saying, do you agree or disagree? So you can agree or disagree. That is your choice. But when the examiner has given you a direct statement that this is what I think, then you have to talk in accordance with what examiner thinks. You can give one clause that yes, there are exceptions to it. There are definitely exceptions to it. So ascribe a separate paragraph to it. Okay, but start talking about what the examiner is already mentioning or already stating. Okay, steps by government. Recent Millie says, what are the recent steps taken by government to boost MSME sector? Millie, that is exactly the question. That is exactly. Let's say, okay, what are the contribution of MSME sector in growth? Yes, that is right. Yes. Okay, okay. Yes. Okay. So let me take the first part of this question. How does MSME sector help in achieving inclusive growth? How is the directive? How does it help in achieving inclusive growth? What do we mean by inclusive growth? That there should be women participation, there should be upliftment of the downtrodden or the backward section of population. All the sections which are actually unserved or underserved, they should be helped. That would be inclusive growth. So how is MSME sector helping them? So what you can do is you can give some data regarding the how MSME sector helping inclusive growth. Please write the contribution of MSME sector in inclusive growth. You could talk about employment, you could talk about women empowerment, you can talk about self-help groups and things like that. And what are the recent steps taken by government to boost the growth of MSMEs in India? First of all, there is a catch. There are recent steps asked. So let's say there are 10 things that you remember. There are 10 things government has done for the MSME sector. Okay. And I write points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The first step should be the recent most and most important step. For example, it could start with budgetary allocation. Secondly, it could be an important policy which was launched last year or this year or 2 years back. You will not talk about anything that was happening 10 years ago or let's say 7, 8 years ago. Something that is continuing, something that is creating a change, that will be talked about at the top, and then the things from the past will be talked about. So here in the second part, what is your micro question? What policies have been launched by the government for MSME sector? And by policies, I mean policies by ministries, policies by the state government, or even the budgetary allocation, or if some new portal has been launched to help the MSME sector, some new scheme has been launched. So all these will be talked about. So I hope both the questions, both the micro questions are clear here. Um, any doubts with regards to this? Okay. So finally, after understanding keywords, qualifying words, show the past year papers. Yes, meditation. That's a very good username that you have there. We will be studying the past year questions as because it's a 12-day plan. So when we answer the questions for ESI, FM, for finance and management separately, there are separate days allocated. We will study through past year questions and then we will take some expected questions of this year. Okay, so don't worry about that. Past questions will be taken. Today it is just about understanding the structure of the answer. And believe me, understanding the structure of the answer will fetch you a lot of high marks as compared to somebody who's just studying right now, who's just reading, going through the notes at this stage. If you know the structure, if you know how to present the information that you have, even the least amount of information you have, you'll be able to get higher marks than most other aspirants. So see, this is on the screen if you can see. This is an answer blueprint. This is an answer blueprint that we provide to our students, EduTap students get this for free. And here we are sharing it with you. Answer blueprint as in how your answer should look like, what your answer actually should look like. I know some parts here could be missing near the conclusion. So let's say this is your sample question. So first of all, start with focus on topic or the theme. This will get clear once we study introduction. Then there would be subheading 1, subheading 2. These are your basically your answering micro questions. For example, for MSMEs, how many micro questions were there? 2 micro questions were there. So how many parts will be there? Subheading 1 would be there, subheading 2 would be there. There can be some value addition elements. There could be statistics, schemes, reports, recent case studies, current affairs, anything, and then you can sum up with a conclusion. That would be a way ahead or need of the hour. So you can go through this answer blueprint, in detail after downloading the PDF after the section. We will be studying this answer blueprint stepwise. So today, this is the day for studying introduction, how to write good introduction for your answer. And trust me, they're not wrong when they say that the first impression is the last impression. From the first line of your answer, trust me, we are into analyzing answers, evaluating answers for so long with the help of just first line of what you write for an answer. With that first line, any examiner can judge your knowledge level or your maturity level, whether you are fit to be an RBI grade officer or not. That can be judged from the first line of the introduction. That's why today we'll be focusing on exclusively the introduction part. And trust me when I say this, introduction is the toughest part. Introduction is always the toughest part of your answer writing practice. Most of the students that I see, let's say we pick up a topic of MSMEs, medium and small scale enterprises. So if I ask you what are the recent steps taken by the government, answer in 400 words. So you remember the policies, right? You probably also remember the budgetary allocation for this year, but you don't know how to start writing your answer. You can give 1 to 10 points, but what should be the first line of your answer? That is what we call the introduction of your answer. Most people get stuck here. They're not able to start their answer. So that is something we are focusing here on today. Let's begin writing our answers. And there is one thing that you need to keep in mind before writing any answers, whether it's for your English, whether it's for your this ESI and FM part. It is said that you're not ready to write your first word until you are finished thinking. First, the answer has to appear in your mind. It has to come in your mind. You need to be sure about what you are going to write. And once you're sure about what you're going to write, only then you should start writing. Otherwise, you start typing there, and in the middle of typing answer, you feel that okay, something is wrong, or I need to add this, or I need to give this direction. So do the thinking part first, and then start writing. Then start writing when you're finally finished thinking. So what are the prerequisites? Now we are formally starting our answer writing discussion. It will include a lot of writing. It will involve a lot of writing. So what are the prerequisites for answer writing? First of all, as you can see here, not anxious but an active mind. You cannot, for those who are just reading a lot nowadays, who are just studying a lot and not practicing answer writing, it will only cause you to be anxious. For an active mind, you need to practice daily. And when once you're sitting for writing answers, you need to be very sure, you need to be very confident that yes, I know what I have read, and you need to have an active mind. So take care of your sleep, take care of your diet accordingly, take care of how many hours you're putting towards studies. Because if you go in the exam hall with a lethargic mind, or if you're not able to remember the facts, recall the facts, then again this will not help you out. Secondly, a positive outlook. Now, see, a lot of questions will demand a stand from you. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Especially the questions in FM part, they will try to, they will try to poke inside your brain. They will try to understand your personality through the questions in especially the ethics part of your syllabus. So, a positive outlook is very much necessary in any job, and all these examination processes use various steps to understand that whether you're a positive, whether you're a person with positive outlook or not. Do you feel good about the present government? Do you feel good about RBI itself? Do you feel good about the finance policies of government of India, all the actions that have been taken with regards to finance or management? So you need to have a positive outlook in all your answers. It needs to reflect. Your answers need to reflect positivity. You do not have to be idealistic, but you have to be at least positive. So there is this glass. So glass has to always appear half full to you. This empty part doesn't have to be considered. Half full glass, that is the approach that we'll be taking for all our answers. These are some of the questions that we'll be discussing. First of all, this is the MSME question for which we discuss micro questions. Second one is for the Uniform Civil Code since it's making news. Then this is richest people own most out of the wealth in India. Again, we frame micro questions for this. Not my And the crisis of ethical values in modern times is traced to a narrow perception of the good life. Discuss. So you will see these questions multiple times today and in the next two sessions also. So just stay tuned and we'll address all these questions one by one. Now let's study how to write a good introduction, how to start writing good introductions. So I brought you to this slide previously as well. We saw the slide previously that introduction is your toughest part of answer writing. Most people know what the content they have to put in there, but they cannot write a good introduction. They don't know where to start. So they feel demotivated that I just can't write any answer, or there is no sense of writing answers. First of all, why can't you directly start writing your answers? Let's say I ask you, what are the policies of Government of India, recent policies of Government of India for the MSME sector? Why can't you start writing your answers points 1 to 10? Basically, introduction, it will act as a roadmap for your answer. As I told you previously also, the first line of your answer will tell the examiner how mature you are, how intelligent you are, what your personalities. Are you too anxious right now, or have you practiced anything or not? Are you underconfident about your grammar? The first line that will convey everything to the examiner. So that's why your introduction is not just the toughest part, but also the most important part here. Now there are some tips for introduction. So here I'm sitting not to scare you off, but actually to help you out. So there are some introduction tips, tricks, and some ways out to write introduction that we'll be discussing here. First of all, don't paraphrase the question sentence. Whatever is given in the question, do not change the language and start writing an answer. Paraphrase means using different words to convey the same meaning. So this is something we will not do. Okay, we are sitting for that exam to convey what we know to the examiner, not to repeat what the examiner is already telling us in the question. So paraphrasing is a big no. Learn introductions with us and just, mark it in your diary or just mark it in your notes that you will never paraphrase any sentence in your introduction statement. Secondly, showcase your knowledge. When I talk about showcase, there is a difference between showcase and boast off. There is a big difference. Showcase means you just put knowledge out there. What you know, if you know about a recent report that has come up, you know that gender inequality index has come up, you know HDI score of India has improved. So if you remember that, put it there in your introduction. but do not boast it off like, okay, this, alarms are rising or alarms have to be raised because HDS score has gone this much, or gender inequality index, India is performing poorly. That does not have to be done in introduction. Respectfully put your knowledge out there and relevant knowledge. How will you do it? This is something you have done when you studied keywords and qualifying words with me. When we discussed keywords, we understood the topics in a question, and we discussed what is the opinion of the examiner regarding that question, whether he supports women empowerment, whether he supports MSMEs, whether he thinks that MSMEs have created inclusive growth. These are your qualifying words. You've already created an image. Once you've understood keywords, qualifying words, directives, and micro questions, an image of the situation needs to be created in your head to be able to answer effectively. Finally, end the introduction with a linkage point. Linkage point means the following are the ways in which the government has helped boost the MSME sector in the country. That will be a link between your introduction and body paragraph. Now let's implement these steps. Let's move on. And to sum it up for all of you, everybody, there are so many aspirants who ask me, ma'am, how to write an introduction, what to write in an introduction. What they do is they take some content from body paragraph and they put it in their introduction. That is something that does not have to be done. For example, if I'm asking you, what are the steps taken by government to boost the growth of MSMEs in India? So since the aspirants do not realize where to start the answer with, so they will start writing about that this year budgetary allocation was this much, or a certain portal has been launched to help solve grievances of MSMEs. So they will write 3-4 lines about it, and once they move on to their body paragraph, then they do not have anything left. That is a situation that we do not have to create for ourselves. We need to have separate content for introduction. How it will come, we'll see as these slides proceed. First of all, first rule of introduction, first and last rule. Whatever topic is there in the question or whatever the question is, write certain lines in your intro that make the question seem important. How will you do it? For example, there is this man, he says women empowerment is important. Okay. And all these three people, they are friends here. So the first one says women empowerment is important. The second phrase, his friend says women need to be empowered. So let's say if you were writing about, let's say this was the statement, women empowerment is important, explain or discuss only, or what is expected is discuss, women empowerment is important. This cannot be your first line, women need to be empowered, because this is again, you're giving the same message in some different words. What you have to do is, second rule, showcase your knowledge. Now there is this friend too who says women are perhaps the most important components of society. Society means all these families come together, they form communities, communities form societies. So when we talk about society, we talk about important components there. So women are perhaps the most important components of society. They not only make up around half of the population, but they also nurture the other half. So see, when you look at this first line, women are perhaps the most important components of society. So you have said that women are important, first of all. Okay, this person, he feels happy that yes, they not only make up around half of the population, but they also nurture the other half. So here you have given a very important role of women. So this person was talking about women and you have given importance to women itself. And in the final line you say, they play key roles in families, societies, nations, and hence the world. This makes women empowerment imperative. So whom do you feel that is your closer friend? Whom would you like to talk to? Whom would you feel that is actually putting some emotion into what you are saying? You feel that women empowerment is important. Then there is this friend who's just, giving a bland statement that yes, women need to be empowered. The second friend actually justifies what you are saying. In a way, what this friend is doing is making you feel important. Is making your viewpoint feel important to you. So which is the friend whom you would like to interact with? Friend one or friend two? Whom would you like to take the conversation further with? Whom would you, judge as being more intellectual or well-read? This person one or person two? Yes, obviously, yes, Millie. Two, yes. Rocky will come to it, how to start with definitions and all of that. Yes, M&M. Okay. Yes, meditation too. The friend two would obviously appear more intelligent to you. You will try to have a better conversation with him, and you will probably ignore this friend one. This is exactly what your examiners do. See, let's be very honest about it. Your examiners are reading your answers. They are being paid to read your answers and mark you there. To award you marks, they are being paid. So let's say one examiner is sitting, he's reading one response, second, third, fourth, 50 or 100 responses in a single day. There has to be something that makes you stand out. There has to be some order, some good embellishments in your answer. You cannot be doing what other people are doing. That is just studying and then just directly taking the exam. Okay, that is basically what we'll do is we'll understand how to make the job of examiner easier so that what we understand, what we feel, what we want to convey can be conveyed very easily in very simple format in a very neat manner to the examiner. That's why from this example, I think it makes it very clear that why do you need to write a good introduction and why do you, why do you can't do this? This paraphrasing cannot be done. It is a strict no. The examiner will not even read your answer if you do this. Trust me on that. She will not read your answer. Or if he is very motivated, very charged up, that is the first sheet he's looking at in the morning. That is the first answer she is looking at in the morning. He might give you a small lifeline and might go through your body or also body paragraph also, but not in most of the cases. So you have to be very, very creative with your introduction. Okay, and this is the introduction. This is the kind of introductions we'll be writing. Now, what are the components or what are the tools that you can use? When you have to build something, you need to have the right tools with you. Okay, what are the tools that we have for building our introduction? Let's see. First of all, components, it should be relevant to the question. If women empowerment is being talked about, do not talk about anything else. Do not talk about, uplifting the poor sections of society or child labor for that matter. Women empowerment means focus on women empowerment only. Second is your introduction should be very concise, just 10 to 12% of word limit. So it should be one small paragraph having 4 5 lines, not more than 5 lines. Never write your introduction beyond 5 lines for any word limit. It actually bores the examiner. The examiner feels that you're conveying too much and you do not know what to write in the body paragraph. That's why you're writing so long introduction. So it has to be maximum 5 lines. Keep these lines short. Don't use and 3 or 4 times in your one answer. This and this and this and this and this and that. So basically, this one line goes to um, um, 50 to 100 words. This something. This is not what has to be done. Have small lines, concise lines, lines which convey a very clear meaning. Before that, be very sure about what you are going to write. And then finally, end your introduction with a connecting line with the body. We call it the linkage point. Linkage point. That following are the factors that can help with women empowerment or anything like that. Okay, so without linkage point, we will not end our introduction. These are the components. Now, what can be the possible types of introduction? The introduction can have some fact or data. It can have some definition. It can have some recent context, current affairs. Here you have brownie points because for your phase one also you've been reading a lot of current affairs. I'm sure you remember India's exact rank on at least 50 indices. You know the score of India on many reports or rank of India or what is the perception about India. So there is something that you have a catch as compared to other aspirants. So yes, your objective paper knowledge or phase one knowledge is going to help you a lot here. Or what you can do is quote some real life example. And again, these four are types of introductions. These are basically tools that we've given you. What you can put in your introduction. Where to use which tool. This is something that we will be learning over the course of days. You cannot put a quote in economy answers, or you cannot put a fact or data when a direct definition has been asked. This is something we are here for. This is something we'll be understanding. Okay. So first of all, uh, the most important thing that I want to talk about here is the language. See, your phase two examination is going to be in English, and if you're somebody in India, English is not our first tongue. It is not our first language. So most of the people, most of us, what we do is we struggle with two things at the same time. What we struggle with is the first thing is knowledge. or I would call it the content that you have to put on your answer. This is first. Second is language. Okay. There is a person who has used the word pilferage. Pilferage in government schemes, or allocation in government schemes, or the money allocated for government schemes. And there is this aspirant who has used the word pilferage, but you do not know its meaning. So that confidence, it goes down. Okay, so that vocabulary part, will come to that. What is important here is knowledge or content that you are reading, or this you are reading through our bundles, through our course, or whatever material you are following from any institute, or through your own preparation. The knowledge and content part is sorted. Second is the language part. You are already struggling with the language that is not your first tongue. So what we recommend is that, first of all, try to answer in your head in your own mother tongue. Try to understand that what will be your opinion if this question was asked to you in your own mother tongue, whether that's Hindi, Telugu, anything. If that question was put to you in your mother tongue, how would you feel about it? What would you write about it? Then start writing answer in English, because you cannot be fighting with these two big challenges at the same time. First of all, think about it in your own language, then frame an opinion, frame the content, and then start writing it in English. Okay, that should be your approach, not not the direct English to English approach. That should not be taken. So now, moving on to talking about possible types of introduction. The first one is fact or data. There could be data from recent economic survey and budget and census. These are our favorite sources for data. Economic survey tells you what has been happening over the past year. Budget tells you what allocation has happened or what policy has been launched. Census, it has stayed stable. The new census has not been conducted. The reports are not out. So whatever you read months back or years back, that will fetch you good marks here. National and international reports. There are so many reports released by Niti Aayog. There are so many indices released by Niti Aayog. There are so many reports released by so many NGOs. And pre-report is there. There's so many international NGOs releasing reports. UN also, UN agencies, specialized agencies, they release reports. So remember the ranks. I'm sure you remember the ranks, but remember them thoroughly, especially with respect to your ESI syllabus. So anything that has come up as a fact or data to you, I recommend that have a separate data sheet. If for the next 5 days you're going to study ESI, so whatever data you're coming across, okay, whether it's with regards to employment, whether it is with regards to education, literacy, anything, so have a separate data sheet. At the end of these 15 days, what you'll have is you'll have 3-4 sheets on which all data would be there, and since you've written it with your hand, you will remember it. You will remember it, and when you remember it, only then you will be able to use it. So now don't rely on the full notes that you have a separate data sheet for yourself and build this on your own. Secondly is definition. See, definition is a very basic way to start an introduction. We always started with definitions in back in school. Back in school, when we were writing answers for our board exams, for our sectional exams, we used to start our writing by definition. But when you are appearing in a competitive exam of the level of RBI Grade B, you cannot start your answer with a definition. Why you cannot do that? Because that appears very basic. It appears very immature. The examiner feels that you don't know anything apart from the definition about this whole topic. So he will not read your answer. He will probably not do justice while awarding marks. So definition is something that you have to give only when it is asked. In any other case, you will not write definition answer. Okay. Or if you feel that the topic is very tough, some new technology is coming up. For example, CBDC, central bank digital currency. Okay, central bank digital currency or blockchain, Bitcoin. These are the things which have been in news for the CBDC has been in news for past 1 year. 1 year or so, it was announced in the last budget. So yes, central bank digital currency, that is something you can define. Define means you can explain it there. But a strict definition has to be given only when it is asked for. And how it is asked? It is asked through a what question, what is this, what is that. So yes. The third one is a recent context or current affair. Now the difference between this and this is that this will contain a lot of facts and data, while this will have some examples. Okay, so recent context can be given, a current affair can be talked about. For example, if there is a question for steps launched by Government of India, steps taken by Government of India for MSME sector. What you have to do is, if a recent step has been launched or there is a statement given by Prime Minister of India that MSMEs hold this amount of importance for the country. So that would be a recent context that some minister is talking about it, some important personality is talking about it. So that will form part of your recent context. That is something that can be approached. Then finally, especially for your management answers, what you can do is, since these questions for your ethics part, they will be very philosophical. You will get at least one philosophical question for sure in your paper. You will see that. So what you have to do is, you can start with a quote or real life example. You will not be able to address that philosophy directly in the first line, but a real life example or a quote can help you with that. So I hope I'm clear with what I said, what I tried to explain it to you, what I tried to explain here. Now, what we'll do is we'll take one example for each of these, and then I'll take the doubts that you have. For the fact and data part that we have, look at this. How does MSME sector help in achieving inclusive growth? So give the recent data of, probably how much employment is there with the help of MSME sector, or how much contribution do they have towards GDP, okay, or industrial GDP, whatever data that you remember, or any recent report that has come up which highlights the importance of MSME. Now, here the fact or data that has to be given, that should be in according to the qualifying word that you're giving. That should be appreciating MSMEs. That is the which is the opinion of examiner. Do not write anything against MSMEs in the introduction itself, because this question is about appreciating MSMEs. Now, in definition, the question is, what is Uniform Civil Code? Directly, this question has been asked, what is Uniform Civil Code? So start by defining it. Examine the need for a Uniform Civil Code in India. So this is second part of the question. This can be addressed with definition. What is Uniform Civil Code? The third one is a recent context or current affair. A recent context or current affair. For example, the richest own most of the total wealth in India. Discuss the reasons for why income inequality in India continues to rise till today. So if a recent example that you know about, some, some scam has happened recently, some new NPA problem has appeared due to a particular businessman. So talk about that. And then finally, the crisis of ethical values in modern times is traced to a narrow perception of good life. Discuss. So here, what you can do is how you can talk about crisis of ethical values in modern times. You can give a code or real life example. From here, for example, for philosophical questions, this is something that you can do. So yes, these are the possible types of introduction. Now we will take all these questions. We'll write introductions to all these questions with you. You will be typing in the chat section, and I will be seeing that, what kind of things can be added in that introduction. So yes, do you have any doubts here, all of you? Yes, 80% employment, 40% GDP. Okay, approximately. Okay, okay. Yes, growth contribution of MSME in GDP of India. And what are the recent steps? Yes, Priya, that's right. Prachi, Molly, yes. Okay, okay. All right, all right. So I think most of you, taking this session, we are getting such an overwhelming response, such a huge response side by side. I think most of you are ready for writing introductions. You appear to be very well read and very ready. So let's start with the first question. Uh, Write an introduction for this, and I'm not expecting you to write about, excuse me, full sentences. I'm not expecting you to write full sentences here. Just write a basic introduction. Remember the rules of introduction. First of all, there has to be relevance. It has to be concise. Third, what it has to do, it has to make this topic appear important. What is the topic here? MSME sector in inclusive growth. This is your topic here. These are your keywords here. So make this topic, MSME sector, contribution of MSME sector in achieving inclusive growth. Make this appear important. Make this appear important in 3 to 4 lines. How will you do it? Give me some clues. Write something in the chat section that how can you write a good introduction for this question. What will your introduction, what will be the ingredients of your introduction? Okay, voice is pretty low. Okay, just let me know if it gets better. Am I audible now, all of you? Is the audio clear to you, or is it low, or any problems occurring in between? Okay, yes. Is it fine? Is it fine now? All clear. Okay, all clear. Yes, Millie or Molly, just write a good introduction for it. And do not write full sentences because there's less time that we have. Just write some of the components that you will be including in your introduction. In all those 3, 4 lines, what will you be talking about? Okay, okay. So KK, probably, there is some technical error on your part. Just try to increase the volume or try to connect your headphones or your device again. That I think that should help you out. Okay, dependency. Dependency in terms of employment. What percentage of people are employed in MSMEs? Increase in number, importance. Uh, Nishant, how do you say that MSME sector is important? We can talk about employment. Yes, when jobs are created, more people have running money in their hand. They have salaries. They have money to buy, have good lives, to live a comfortable life. So that leads to inclusive growth. Yes, jobs is one thing. Secondly, what? What can you talk about? Which data can you talk about? Which fact that you can give? Any report that you remember has come up with regards to MSMEs? Major chunk of jobs and contribute 40% of total export. Yes, Shashwat, very good. Contribution to employment, MSME needs lower capital investment as compared to large ones and a great potential for employment. Priya, this is very good input. We'll try to tweak it here. Okay. Significant contribution in the export, employment, innovation, regional and regional development. So, let me come up with a sample answer that we have here, and then you can, make additions. So, yes. So it says that MSMEs in India, they account for 1/3 of country's GDP. Whenever there is a question about sectors. Sectors are your agriculture, let's say, then you have the secondary and tertiary sectors. Always, before taking these exams, always remember their contribution towards GDP, one. Second, employment. This is the easiest data you can remember. Okay. So this is also a subsector. This is a subsector of industry. So remember its contribution towards industrial GDP or manufacturing GDP, the contribution of MSME. That is the data that you can use. 48% of exports and create 11 million jobs. Their role is absolutely indispensable as India aims to become a $5 trillion economy, $5 trillion economy by 2025. Look at the first line here. The first line gives you all the data with respect to MSME. So this was, now tell me, can you start with a code here or an example here? The best way to start this answer is to start with data because this is coming from your ESI part. Start with good quality data here. That is the best way to go for this question. So we've given all the data that that can be relevant. GDP data can be relevant. Export data or jobs data that can be relevant. You do not have to remember all of it, but whatever data you can remember while you are studying for your phase 2 examination, make sure that you use that in your phase 2 examination finally. And there is this, India aims to become a $5 trillion economy by 2025. This is something that we all know. This is something that our country is aspiring for, our politicians, bureaucrats, all the citizens of the country are aspiring for becoming a 5 trillion economy by 2025. So yes, just write down their role is absolutely indispensable as India aims to become a $5 trillion economy by 2025. Now, finally, what we give is a linkage point. The following are the ways in which MSMEs can help in achieving inclusive growth. All right. So this is something that can be done after when you've given this line. This line that has been underlined is your linkage point. Then you can start with your body paragraph. Body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, since there are 2 micro questions that we identified here. Okay, then we'll sum up with the conclusion. Is this part clear? Do you think any additions can be done? Let me know in the chat section. Yes, Manu, that is a very important point. It plays a major role in supply chain linkage. And see, here a relationship with inclusive growth is required. And inclusive growth means serving the underserved or unserved. So you can talk about how MSMEs, they play a major role in serving underserved areas or sections of or unskilled sections of population, or underskilled sections of population. So that can be done. Okay, just one brief line in your introduction, but do not open up your cards here in the introduction itself, because in our body paragraph, we will have to address how does it help in achieving inclusive growth. So here we have made MSME sector important. We have told that yes, MSME, the question we have made important. That was our rule of introduction. And then we can start writing about our body paragraph. So yes, very good. Moving on to the next question. What is Uniform Civil Code? Examine the need for a uniform civil code in India. Yes. What will you write in this introduction for this answer? What approach will you take? Will you write some data? Will you write some example? Will you write a definition? Or will you write a quote? Or some recent context? What should be your approach here? Priya says data. Rocky says code. Shashwat says Article 44 of Constitution of India. See, Uniform Civil Code is in news. Just remember, it is given in Article 44 of Constitution. Even if you've not read about it much, just give a brief overview. Get a brief overview of it. So, yes, definition. Rami Reddy says definition. So the question is directly about what question? What is Uniform Civil Code? Examine the need for a Uniform Civil Code in India. Start by defining or explaining. If you do not have the direct definition, at least explain what is Uniform Civil Code. I'm sorry for all these background things. Okay. Let me just erase it. Okay, now we have it. So yes, the Uniform Civil Code is a proposal to formulate and implement personal laws of citizens of India. Just look at this first line. It gives a direct definition or overview of your what part of the question. Just try it. Just try it in all your what questions. So after that, you can talk about based on their religion, faith, and beliefs. India has different laws for different communities in matters such as marriage, divorce, inheritance, and adoption. We know that all religious communities have different laws. So you're talking about it, and then come back again to Uniform Civil Code. Uniform Civil Code would provide for one law for the entire country, applicable to all the communities in their personal matters. Is this very tough? Giving a brief overview of or a definition of Uniform Civil Code, then talking about explaining it a little more. Yes. So yes, there's some problem here, but yes, we sorted it. Yes, you can talk about Article 44 here. The need for implementing a UCC in India has been discussed below. You can talk about the need as follows. So if there are any additions that you want to make, just let me know in the chat section. Yes, Manu, you can talk about this, but do not start by talking about Dr. B.R. Ambedkar himself. Start by addressing the what part of it. What is the Uniform Civil Code? Then probably talk about Article 44. Then talk about what Dr. B.R. Ambedkar mentioned and what he talked about it. Okay. Yes, M&M, this is a very, very good definition that it is a set of laws that apply uniformly to all the citizens. Very good definition, very good approach. Yes. So any other inputs for the introduction to this answer that are coming up? Any updates? Any more updates? Yes. Now let's move on to the next question then. Can we use abbreviations? Definitely you can use abbreviations. We'll see that in a while when we do our management questions. In your management questions, when you talk about personality, there are a lot of abbreviations that we use. The Big Five model of personality, we use abbreviations there. So yes, abbreviations can be used, but make sure these abbreviations, they are popular. They're popular, they are well known, and they have been well established. Do not create your own abbreviation. If you've read something on PIB, if you've read something on newspaper, if some new abbreviation has been given by a prime minister, so just mention them, but do not create your own. Okay. Yes. Okay. Moving on to the next question. The richest own most of the total wealth in India. Discuss the reasons for why income inequality in India continues to rise till today. Now, what will you write in the introduction? That input has to come from you. The richest own most of the total wealth in India. So this was our keyword. This is the situation here. And the situation was of income inequality. Discuss the reasons for why income inequality in India continues to rise till today, continues to rise. So how will you start talking about it? Let's say there is this friend who's talking about it. What will you say? The situation is in a very sorry state. Will you start talking like that? Or will you give some data, example, code, whatever? What will you, give in response to that friend? How will you talk more about this situation? So just let me know in the chat section. I'm waiting for your responses. Yes, data. Data can be given, and Shashwat has given a very important input here that as per Oxfam report, this is exactly the term of Oxfam report. That as per Oxfam report, the richest 1% of the richest 1% Indians they own around 40%, or to be precise, 44% of the wealth. That's a huge number. Not huge number here. The richest people own most of the wealth. Huge number is here. These are just 1%. They're holding the 40% of the wealth. That's a huge number. So that is the Oxfam report, the recent data of Oxfam report that we know about. That can directly, make this friend feel good. That yes, whatever situation I'm presenting, the other friend, the one who's writing the introduction, that is you is making me feel important, is agreeing with me, making me feel important with the help of some data, some report. So that is the best way. Any other way that you guys can think of how to approach this answer? How to write an introduction for this answer? Yes, let me know in the chat section. Okay. The government, civil society organizations, and various stakeholders are implementing policies and initiatives aimed at reducing income disparities and promoting inclusive growth. Eminem, see, this is more of a conclusion statement. These efforts include programs to enhance access to education, skill development, and employment opportunities for marginalized communities. Yes. See, Eminem, this is more of a conclusion paragraph. In the introduction paragraph, this is the state of situations. This is the state of situations that the examiner has given you, and you have to validate this statement itself with the help of some report or some viewpoint or some example. Okay, what you are writing here is like very good, a very good intention, but it should be given towards the conclusion that yes, the government is taking steps to to decrease this income inequality. Okay. So yes, now we'll move on to our actual introduction that we have written for this answer. Popular discussions on inequality in India receive attention with the publication of reports like World Inequalities Database of Oxfam and World Inequality Report. So when we talk about the richest people owning most of the wealth, these two are the most important reports that we have here. You can take the recent data before sitting for your exam. These reports present a grim picture of inequality in India. So have you, you just started this conversation. You just started this conversation with the examiner that instead of saying recently two reports have come up, or according to these two reports, there is a grim situation of inequality in India. You've taken a little passive language approach. Popular discussions on inequality in India, they receive attention. They come in the limelight when some report is released, and recently these two reports were released, and they present a grim picture of inequality in India. Now present your data. The World Inequality Report 2022, that is the latest version we have here. It termed India as a very poor and unequal country, and poor, poverty is there, and very unequal. Whatever wealth is there, that is concentrated in the hands of a very few people. That is your richest people. That has an affluent elite population. So you have given validation to the question by with the help of a report that has an affluent elite population. That means The richest own most of the wealth in India. That is what it means. Although the reasons for persisting inequality would vary from region to region, so we cannot say that this is the situation of the entire country. This is an additional viewpoint you're giving from your side. That means you're participating in the conversation, and you are actually contributing towards the introduction from your side also. Although the reasons for persisting inequality would vary from region to region, but they can be studied under the following heads, because this is the question that was in our second part. Discuss the reasons for why income inequality in India continues to rise till today. So reasons, you're giving a very intelligent statement that reasons can vary from region to region, or from community to community, from person to person, but major reasons I'm putting here in the following points. Okay. So yes, any doubts here with regards to this introduction? Anything that you want to ask? Anything that you want to know about? Okay. And then we'll move on to the last answer, that is the philosophical answer for today. And I understand philosophical questions are really tough to handle for you. Most of them are very tough most of the times. But, step by step, we will learn how to approach them, how to answer them very effectively. Anything that you want to ask before moving on to the last question for today? All right. So let's move on to the last question and see what we have here. All right. Sometimes the intro needs 7 to 8 lines, and sometimes 4 or 5 lines. Mahima is asking this. Like in this one, it is 8 lines. See, there is a catch here, and that's a very important question. So how should we go about it? Ma'am mentioning very unequal country, not pessimistic. Eminem, you cannot say that India is a very unequal country. But what you're doing is you're quoting some report. You are, putting the burden on some report or some other organization, which is a very reputed organization. If you say it on your own that no, no, the situation in India is very bad, India is a very unequal country, that would be bad. So here is a catch, here is a trick for, questions which demand to take a stand against India, or which demand to, talk about the negative side of your country or any section of population. Use some reports and data there. Do not give opinions as your personal opinions. That would be a crime while writing introduction. But use the help of some reports. Okay, so the examiner will know that she is not directly blaming the country or the government. She is just putting what is there on the report. Okay, then do not give personal opinions there. Just give very logical reasons. Okay, Eminem. So yes, Priyadarshini, I'm coming back. Mahima, I'm coming back to your question. See, if you see this previous question, there are two parts to it. The richest own most of the total wealth in India. So that is your background statement. The examiner has created an image in your mind that there are rich people who have most of the wealth in the country. When you have background statements, or when there are two parts to a question, for example, what is Uniform Civil Code? Examine the need for a Uniform Civil Code in India. So we expect that when you answer this first or what part, you will not just give the definition, but you will give a definition plus introduction. So in that cases in which your question has multiple parts and the first part is amalgamated with the introduction itself, that is the only time when your introduction can go long. All right. So because we needed longer sentences to define Uniform Civil Code here, that's why our introduction went longer. So here also you can see that there are multiple parts to a question. But if I talk about this MSME sector, MSME sector, this is the first question, and this is the second question. And these two questions, they can be answered separately. They don't have to be amalgamated with some introduction. So we gave a separate introduction, then we gave a body paragraph 1, then a body paragraph 2. So your introduction will be small in this case. But when a definition question is there, what is Uniform Civil Code? Then this what part of the question, it contains 50% of the marks. Let's say if the question is for 10 marks, this part will hold 5 marks. So you'll have to explain it. What you can do is after this explanation, you can break down the question. You can break down the paragraph. That's where your introduction can go long. Okay, all right. Mahima, is that clear? All right. Okay, you're welcome. Now moving on to the last one. The crisis of ethical values in modern times is traced to a narrow perception of good life. Discuss. So what will you write in the introduction for this question? Uh, just send me prompts and then we'll build a introduction here. We'll also understand how to answer philosophical questions here. Just give me some prompts. Human life in modern times. Human life in modern times has started to revolve around materialistic gain, losing the touch of values and well-being. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, yes, Shashwat, we'll take that input. Anyone else coming up? Yes, Manu is writing. Ethics is the way to govern our life, knowing what is good and bad. Hence, ethical values which humanity pursues concluded through what many think as good life. Yes, that's again a very philosophical introduction. Yes, hence ethical values which humanity pursues concluded through what many think as good life. Yes, it appears to be a very mature and a very good introduction. If you can write such introduction, go ahead with it. Ethical ones are tough, no scope of using data. Yes, Shashwat, this is what I wanted to tell you. There is no scope or very less scope of using data in your management or your ethics answers. So, what do we do? For example, if you read the introduction that has been given by Manu, again, that's a very philosophical introduction, but not everybody can write a philosophical introduction. Okay, because sometimes you're not sure about what words to write or what is the opinion of examiner. So the first one is we need to be very clear about opinion of examiner. So this question we'll take in detail. We'll not just focus on introduction. Let's understand this question. Let me highlight the important words here. The crisis of ethical values. One, in modern times, is traced to a narrow perception of good life. Discuss. We'll leave the directive aside for some time. The examiner says that there is a crisis of ethical values in the modern times. So probably there was no crisis of ethical values in the previous times or in the past. And he's giving is trace. Trace means what is the reason for this ethical value crisis? Narrow perception of good life. So basically, first of all, what is a good life? Focus on the topic. What is the topic here according to you? Give me answers in the chat section. What do you think is the topic or the keyword here? Yes, I'm waiting. Okay. With rampant poverty and destruction in sight and with an increasing gap between haves and have-nots, crisis in ethical values is clear with people focusing on materialistic gains. Priya, that's a very good paragraph, but you can use it towards your conclusion. Not exactly in the conclusion, but towards your conclusion. See, also there's another problem that comes up with answer writing with many aspirants is uh, sometimes they end up writing what they should write in conclusion. They end up writing that data or that information in introduction, and what should be written in introduction they end up writing in conclusion. So here, whatever general things are there about the topic, we'll see what to write in conclusion and what to write in an introduction. An introduction should make the question feel important. For that, you should understand the topic of the question or the keyword of the question. Give me the topic. What is the topic that is being talked about here, or what is the keyword for this question? Crisis, narrow perception are keywords. Okay. How ethical values are jotted down and their source in present times. Okay. So can I say crisis of ethical values? This is something that is happening. And the other one is good life. Okay. There is some understanding about good life that was prevailing in the past, which has changed in the fear, which has changed now, which is leading to a crisis of ethical values. Is this what examiner is trying to say? Examiner is trying to say there is a definition of good life which has now become very narrow. The perception regarding good life has become very narrow. It has become very materialistic. In other words, that perception has become very narrow, which is leading to crisis of ethical values. So this is what examiner is saying, or narrow perception of good life has led to has led to deterioration of ethical values. Is this our micro question? Deterioration of ethical values. Can I say that this is my question or this is my micro question? Narrow perception of good life has led to deterioration of ethical values. Is this what the examiner is trying to say? Do you agree? Yes. Yes, Manu. Yes, Mahima, materialism is dominating the modern times, and we are facing the crisis of having a good life versus an ethical one. That's very right. That is very right. Yes, that is what the examiner is trying to say. The modern society values a life of excess more than a life of ethics. Even the aim of education has become to achieve life of riches rather than a rich life of ethics. Again, a very good understanding of the question. Megs, that's your username to start with. Okay. Now we have translated this question or paraphrased this question into something easy. The narrow perception of good life has led to deterioration of ethical values. This was supposed to be, let me just erase it here. Yes, I'm still here. Not worry about it. Okay. You all have perception of a good life. Yes or no? If I crack the phase 2 examination, if I become RBI Grade B officer, I will have a good life. Yes or no? Or if I own a car, if I get married to the person I like, or if I go on a vacation, or if I have this much money, then you feel that you will have a good life. So there is this good life. Okay. And understanding of good life is different for everybody. Okay, it could mean a car for somebody, whether for someone else it could mean a job, or for a kid, a good life could mean having a candy or having a chocolate. Okay, this is good life we are looking at. The writer says, the examiner says that there is this perception that all these people have here. This is very narrow. Narrow perception means most of them are having the same definition. And what is the same definition? It is materialism. Materialism, that means what we perceive as good life is something with a lot of riches, something with a lot of commodities. So he says, because of this rise in materialism, this perception of good life that has changed, and that has led to deterioration of ethical values. So your body paragraph will contain how this has happened. Your introduction will contain explanation of this image that we have created, that there was a perception of good life, which was different for everybody, but now it has boiled down to just materialism, to owning things. So try starting with a quote regarding good life. Try starting with an example about good life. Let's say Mahatma Gandhi said something about it. Swami Vivekanand said something about it. Or Mother Teresa, example of Mother Teresa. That can be taken. Okay, start by writing an example or by writing a quote. Then explain this image that you have understood. I hope the image is clear to you. Start, then just explain this image and then move on to your body paragraph. Start, then in your body paragraph, you can talk about, for example, Meg's wrote, the modern society values a life of access more than a life of ethics. Even the aim of education has become to secure a job or things like that. So all the things which your fellow friends have written in your chat box, just take the help of that and write your body paragraph. But in the introduction, explain this image that you have created in your mind. So let's see. First rub it all and let's see what can be the introduction. And as I told you, your examples and quotes will help you in your management answers a lot. Okay. So, yes. So just read this out. It says, it is said. It is said means if you have to quote something, either you start by putting it in quotes and then you start explaining it, or what you do is you start by writing it is said that, and you do not use quotes here. You just start, you just write it as a normal sentence. It is said that life is as good as one's mindset. Then put good life in quote. You have Given a quote here, life is as good as one's mindset or one's perception. Okay. So what you're moving is now explain what is good life. Good life is a subjective term. Subjective means for something which have something that has different understanding or different definitions for everybody. If I say that that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, that is an objective, that is an objective reality, that yes, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 in Newtonian mechanics, yes. But if I talk that it is a subjective term, that means everybody can have their own definition or own opinion. So good life to start with is a subjective term, something that should have different meaning for all individuals. However, factors like capitalism have rendered a common definition to it. And what is that definition? A life abounding in material comforts and luxury. So that is, in a way, your explanation of this, what the picture examiner is trying to convey. Once you have made this picture clear, then proceed to writing examples, proceed to writing what some thinker said or what you think according to a theory. So since now, why this is causing a crisis of ethical values? Because the resources available are limited. One of the people in the chat box also wrote this. Since the resources available are limited, so we are fighting. Our needs are increasing. Everybody wants more and more assets. Everybody wants more and more space. But that space is very much limited. But everybody wants more. So since the resources available they are limited, this perception of good life has turned the basic idea of life is to live happily. Basic idea of life has turned into a competition. Here you can talk about anything. The role of education. The role of education is just to help students win some competitive exams or just to secure a job. Value-based education is not there. So that can be discussed many a times to the detriment of ethical values. What ethical values are seeing a depreciation, justice, honesty, empathy, compassion, respect, and responsibility. So this is an introduction. This is a way that you can take for your philosophical answers. If you're somebody who is very good at philosophy, then use a philosophical approach. But if you're somebody who is just struggling to write answers, or if you're somebody who can give very good examples or you can remember quotes, then use this approach. Start by a quote, start by an example, then explain what this examiner is trying to say so that he understands that you understood the question, and you also feel what the examiner is saying, what is there in the question. You feel that it's important. So explain that, then have subparts to it, have the education side of it, have the law making side of it, have the social media side of it. Okay, then explain various parts. Where can you see all this happening? Education, lawmaking, or how people talk, or how people conduct, or how people, are in their personal relationships nowadays. So talk about everything. You'll have a lot of dimensions. We'll see that in the body paragraphs when we'll discuss body paragraph in future. So here is the last tip that I will share for introduction. See, you will be typing your answers. So any grammatical or spelling mistakes that you can make that can be corrected. Sometimes what happens is that we find the introduction so hard to write that we just stick on that first line for like a lot of minutes, and which you do not have in the examination. Just understand the question, understand the 4 steps to writing an answer that have been shared in this presentation. Download the PDF for this from my Telegram channel. Once you've understood all those 4 steps, you've understood keywords, qualifying words, characters, then if you're sure about the content of body paragraph, then write that first, then come back to your introduction. When you have spent some time answering the question, then come back. If you know the points, write the body part first. That will make you more comfortable and confident, and then come back to completing the introduction part of it. There is no hard and fast rule that if you do not write a good introduction, you're not going to move on to the next question. No. So that can be taken as a tip. From my side, that's all for today. Big a lot of thank you from our side, from our team side. There were a lot of questions coming that is she a new teacher? Yes, I'm new here. I'll be teaching you descriptive answer writing for RBI Grade B for the next 12 days till 28th of July. So stay tuned. Learn answer writing with me, with our team, step by step. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll if you have any doubts, let me know in the chat section right now. I'm sitting here to take your doubts. Yes. Thank you so much, M&M. Let's crack phase two. Let's try to do justice to our preparation. I think things which are done with utmost honesty, without worrying, without being anxious about the results, they actually yield good results. They make you a better person, and with the span of time, they actually bring success as well. So the aim of this series for the next 11 days, first day is done. For the next 11 days would be to provide you with quality content, would be to provide you with ready-made tools, would be to provide you with skills of answer writing. So that is somewhere you do not feel the challenge. Okay. So we'll try to take a very just and honest approach when we take these sessions. Stay tuned. I will again see you there. Stay tuned to our channel. Again, the second session will be taken on Monday at 3 p.m. again. Just come back for understanding how to write good body paragraphs. Then we'll start with our ESI and FM part. Yes, you're welcome. Welcome all of you. Stay tuned to the channel as well. We are bringing a lot of quality content with the help of live and recorded videos. Subscribe to our Telegram channel. All the information is available in the description below this video. You can contact us. We are very interactive with our students. So we have a separate team for that. You can contact us at this number 8146207241. And you can also get in touch with the faculty here if you want. You can book an appointment with us to help you, to get some help for answer writing or for the phase two examination, any kind of guidance that you need. Also, you can email us at hello@edutap.co.in. All right, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe it. If you haven't liked the video, like it and share it with your friends. When we share knowledge, when we share good things, that's when good things come back to us. So yes, all the best to you. Keep preparing well. Keep your hard work on. Also, take care of your health during the preparation. I'll see you soon. Stay tuned to the channel and bye-bye. Thank you.